It's all in my headphones.
Good, good. How are you? How nice to see you again.
Yeah, I'm good. I've had a good day, a productive day, so that's all good. How are you? How's your day been?
Yeah. I'm all right. I mean, I'm prone to being obsessive and fucking when I get my teeth into something, it's so this platform. I found the call yesterday very stimulating. So the launching of the campus, I was so pleased you fortuitously found the email and logged on, and I thought your input was fantastic. And yeah, I'm loving technology, so I'm really passionate about getting tech to get wisdom out there to improve treatment outcomes. So when you interacted today with a chat and a little GIF, I'm down there and go, oh fuck, this is nice. And then your question was a very insightful question. So let's so I'd love to use the tech to talk and teach and to basically
I
improve
think
recovery outcomes.
this particular platform, a bit like you, I'm a bit of a tech geek. So when I first saw it, I was like, I wonder how that works. And I haven't found a community to sort of get into to see what was on the other side. So I'm grateful to be on the other side. And I've worked with a few different platforms like this, but this one seems to have everything. Um, so yeah, it's quite easy to navigate as well once you get into it. So
Yeah, we have all our content on a teachable platform, which has been very difficult to get off the ground, and the fees were difficult as well, and so it's got quite a lot of legacy stuff around it. So, but tech has moved so fast, and we can teach people stuff. But if people aren't interacting in a community, that's where the real learning happens. So yeah, this seems fun.
yeah,
So we have this on top of Google and ChatGPT. So coaches, certified coaches generally use ChatGPT for their personal stuff. And then as an organization, we sit on top of Google for our certified coaches and really um, building like virtual recovery in that space.
it's good. I was actually working with a 12 step. I was working with the fellowship to get them onto the chat GPT. So the online side of the organization, they were brave enough to venture out, and it's amazing. Um, yeah.
So tech is good like that, and the 12 steps are fantastic. Yeah, as a modality, but often the people that and the environment, and I mean you can say the same thing for Christianity or Islam or you know
Any form of organization. It can be a local, it could be a local authority, it could be a local charity. If you
yeah.
haven't got the right culture, um, so you need someone like yourself who is a leader, that can
Oh,
just keep
thanks.
it in line with its primary purpose, I guess, and that's how you stop it from getting away. So an organization that's that out that is that old, it's nearly 100. Um, it's just
Yeah.
been missing that one person to kind of pull it back to primary purpose, but they rather rely on the various text, and then autonomy to kind of do that, and it doesn't work. Um,
So in part of the training, you'll come across it. I've developed the Collins window. And the reason I called it the Collins window, one is, and it feels a bit vain to say it because I've named it after myself, but I've done that because I really wanted to capture our sort of thinking or my so there's a framework, that a lens that people can use to look on a case. Yeah, and sponsorship and mentorship sits in a specific window. So whether it's sponsor, mutual aid, mentorship, and then treatment sits below that, medical treatment, and then you've got the biopsychosocial model, and then you've got coaching and recovery coaching, which sits in its own little pane in the window. And the top two panes sit in the place of wellness, and the bottom two panes sit in the place of treatment. And the history of AA as an institution, it moved into the medical world, the treatment world, and then the culture of 12-step Minnesota model treatment was very um, Eurocentric, Euro US centric, American, and essentially conservative Christian Republican based. And we all know, like any illness impacts everyone. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so so hence your question is great, because your question, so just repeat the question.
Give me 2 seconds. So my question was, from a trauma-informed point of view, when it comes to addiction recovery, when someone's life is pretty chaotic or feels chaotic, how do you collaborate with them to build structure that supports their recovery while centering their sense of safety, and giving them that agency of choice? I'm more interested to see answers from the Ubuntu, the indigenous, the forgotten knowledge. You know, we all
Mm.
have years of knowledge through our family lineage, and that gets forgotten. So I just wondered what the point, yeah, how Ubuntu would look at that question, and then obviously other people's points of views, because everyone comes from different places. But yeah, from just a little bit before that, I'm looking at breaking out of. So I did 5 years in recovery in the fellowship, and I was a sponsor, and I guess I sponsored in a certain way, and that was just because I learned from others, and I do
Well, it
feel
was
that
passed
sometimes it
down.
was.
There's a tradition, and the lineage. So it's like my sponsor's sponsor, my sponsor, and
Yeah,
a lot of sponsorship has been passed down through that. Yep.
and it
And
comes a bit like Chinese whispers. So
well, yeah, and the institution has opened up a lot. So the original founders, it's really different. I mean, Jung apparently said one day, and I don't know how true this is, but he said the last thing he would like to do is to be seen by a Jungian analyst. So a lot of like his work and the roles of it, people change. Anyway, it's a fascinating question. You can debate for hours around this. So, shall I start to answer it from my perspective?
yeah, please do.
Yeah. Okay. So the fundamental difference is, in the West we kind of treat people, we give them something as individuals, where you're an individual and you need this treatment. Whereas the Ubuntu approach is, it's the community and the environment where the illness has been caused. And so what we would look at it from that perspective is, the person's gotten sick because of the environment that they're in. And so, like, if it's a bit like, and a lot of corporates do this, you have a polluted fish bowl being the organization. You take leaders out or people out of that. You put them in a my hands aren't being seen because of the, but you take them out and you put them in a clean fish bowl. They get better, and then you put the fish back in the toxic fish bowl, and they get sick again. And that's why a lot of like weekends away and trainings and all that never bring the cultural change to the organization, because the change should be happening within the organization. Yeah. And so if we apply that thinking to the treatment world, yeah, the challenge then is people can come into treatment, they can come into our clinic and get very well, but when they leave the clinic, they go back into their environments. So people can travel from the UK, come to South Africa for treatment, get well, do well there, and then they go back to their environments. And so that's a fundamental thing that needs to be considered. So when someone's coming into treatment, you need to think about when they leave treatment. And so treatment is just a stop on someone's journey. Yeah. Um, and then the other thing that gosh, I've got so many answers. So it's such a great question. But from a coaching perspective, so when you're sitting in that little window, yeah, the little pane of that window as a recovery coach, you're talking to the individual that's in that environment. So they might go to mutual aid, they might have a GP, a doctor, a psychiatrist, they might have clinical unresolved trauma that needs to look at. And you, as the coach, you're going to partner with them, co create with them what they're going to want to do. So you're holding them in a space of wellness, even if they're unwell. So yeah. Just to give you an example, several months ago, I went through a burnout. Yep. And I had to take myself somewhere and check myself in and just say, guys, I need some fucking time out here. Yeah. And there was a real well part of me that was able to go and do that and ask for help. And then when I was there, I said, this is the type of help I need. And thank God the place that I went to was able to adjust the program to sort what I needed. So I had a lot of agency. My voice was heard in my treatment process. And so as a coach, yeah, the coach doesn't know what the patient needs, the coachee needs, the whatever, but the coach will co-create with that individual. Now the challenge with kind of 12-step stuff, yeah, is you go in there and like put your hands up, you're a newcomer, the best thing you can do is maybe greet people, make some tea, but you can't sponsor anyone, and you can't this, and you can't, and it's become very I'm going to say regimented in a lot of areas. Whereas I think when the fellowship first started, it was pretty chaotic. And there would have been something magical in that original peer support, which we've kind of lost nowadays. And
Yeah.
and yeah, sorry,
I mean,
I,
from my
I
own
get so
personal
excited. Yeah, yeah,
from
yeah.
my own
Let's
from
hear
my own
your
personal
experience.
experience, the last thing you want. So I want to go to. So I've had my history with mental health. I still battle a little bit with that, but less so because I'm well. Um,
Good.
but the last thing you want is to turn up to an appointment, and I can just about fill out the patient questionnaire when I turn up to an appointment. So to have to start to understand traditions and steps and concepts and all of these things that put conditions and but like you're doing for me at that point is you're pushing um the end goal further away. And it's making me less interested because it's becoming even more unattainable because I can't jump through these hoops and skip these hurdles. Whereas how I kind of hold space is I don't care. You can come a crying, dribbling mess. We will sit with you, let you calm down. If you need to help to calm down, I can also help with that. And then we just create a place of stability, and there's no judgment, and it's just sitting with that person, and that works. Just I used to think that I had to have all the answers, so I went from 12 step into an organization that helps people who are suicidal, and they're generally in crisis. So we're kind of looking to de-escalate a crisis before it actually becomes a full-blown crisis where the knives are out or the pills are out and the ambulance needs calling or the police needs to do welfare checks. We're trying to stop that from happening in the first place. And you can only do that by listening because everyone has so
Exactly.
many different needs. Not, and I think a lot of the reason we're in this sticky mess up and down the country and probably around the world is just the way that we've organized our organizations and authorities. um, so I like, and you see it more and more, it's this holistic approach is coming through, and it's the only way that I engaged was the holistic way. um, and to be free from medication, free from suicide thinking, all of those things, that's a success to me. And that is the difference, that sitting down with a person who wants to connect rather than doing it. So, you know, you might be a doctor or you might be working in that field, but it's not necessarily the job role that they want. They're probably looking at becoming a consultant or something further down the line. So these are just stopgaps along their studies to get to where they need to. So therefore, they don't want to be here. They need to be here in order to progress their career. Um, so yeah, having someone that wants to be in front of you and wants to see you de-escalate and then thrive. I think we need more of that in services locally, and it has to happen locally. It's one of my biggest passions. Why you would send someone away and then be baffled when you bring them back to their environment because they've fallen apart. It's like, well, because they're not learning to recover in the environment in which they live. So that's part of something that I want to set up for myself as an organization, is to
So,
sort of
what
bring a
kind of
local.
organization do you want to set up?
It's a very big idea.
Good.
So
We love big
initially, um, initially, I work with people already, and they're
Great.
not. It's not like I'm not an organization. I just do it because I have the know-how and I seem to be able to connect with people and they come back. So something
Great.
works there. But I want to put that into an organization and just work one by one with people and not looking at opening this grand center and get traffic in. I just want to work with one person at a time and do it naturally. But what I would like to do initially is a bit like a health watch kind of program in which lots of data is taken about across various different services in a locality, and then look at that from a human design point of view rather than a corporate point of view, and then offer feedback to these services that we have feedback on, offer that to them and say, and maybe give suggestions. So a bit of a consulting thing, but you get that data from working with someone. So you don't. It's not just consulting the business. You're working through with someone, and you're just taking down those barriers that have been put in their way constantly, and then take those barriers back to the organization and say, I believe these are yours. And if you don't want to see me again with someone else's barriers, then these are the things that you could put in place to prevent these barriers being put in. And I guess that's happening on a national scale already. We have governments and ministers and departments that are trying to work out the same problem that I seem to be trying to work out. So, and then that would grow into like a recovery house, not like a 6 to 12 week thing, something maybe a little bit longer term that can take into account the whole family. Um, so not just the person who's sick, because 9 times out of 10, we go to a meeting, we feel great, and then we go back home and the life pressures are back on. So it's bringing them into the fold and having them understand what it takes for their loved one to get well, and maybe they may take some from that as well. They may take something for themselves, the wife or the children. So rather than having AA and adults, children of alcoholics, and all these different things. It's like, well, let's just sit in one room and do it together in the first place. So yeah, that could grow into a model, hopefully, in which we can offer that to local services as an alternative to what's already out there in the locality. That's it in a simplified nutshell. There's a lot more to it. But like initially starting off as that, working with people and then echoing that voice back into the community, and offering ways of changing and supporting them in that. It's not just a case of saying, here's a notice, you need to improve, and if you don't, your funding is going to get taken away. It's like, well, here's a suggestion. I've actually got some contacts and I've got some people that are interested. Let's make this work together. Um, through co-production meetings, so sitting down with clients, with staff, with stakeholders. And again, it needs to be in one room because these meetings happen. You have a co-production meeting to hear what the clients are struggling with, and then you go forward, and then the staff kind of have their input in their staff
Quite a lot of
meeting,
experience in this, huh?
and then the commissioners will come in and they will have their input. But at no point do these all sit down together. I'm a big believer in bringing the commissioners in front of the clients. So that services can be built, thought up, and commissioned correctly, in a way that's actually going to have change and that's not going to waste public funding and destroy communities. And I think once we have knowledge that this is going on and organizations know that their way isn't working or that their approach isn't working, and they continue to conduct themselves in such a way that becomes institutional violence, and people are really getting hurt, communities are really getting hurt through institutional violence. And yeah, that's kind of, yeah, I've been through the mill. Yeah, I started off at school with having additional needs but them not being met, which then led me to criminality and mental health, which kind of was solidified in addiction in a way. So you just kind of, that's how it plays out, and it only gets worse the longer it goes unaddressed. And 9 times out of 10, it's I carried on that way of life because I could never find anyone that could understand me, or I felt that I was just misunderstood. So we really have to have that understanding so that someone can just be disarmed. Because we go out in when we're not well or when we're struggling with our ailments, whichever they may be, um, it gets frustrating, and that frustration gets turned into anger, and then that anger gets put into the doctor, and the doctor doesn't deserve it. He's just trying to help, but he's just trying to help in the wrong way, and that just
But a
creates
real
more anger.
understanding of the system, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got to attend group in 5 minutes. Um, the if you're free tomorrow from 10 till 12, that's when we do the LERO development, lived experience recovery organization development, which is very much aligned to the Dane Carroll Black harm to hope strategy and
Okay.
understanding. Yeah. And so I'm jumping straight out of coaching now. I'm going to mentorship and consulting because, like, you obviously know your shit and you've been around, and I would love to support and collaborate with you in some way to develop this sort of stuff. So let's start with, if you can make tomorrow morning between 10 and 12 in in the same Zoom room, we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
Are you working with anyone at the moment, or are you a lone ranger?
Do you mean clients or organizations?
Or organizations? You have, I mean, what's
No. So at the moment, I've just started volunteering with an organization called AudHD UK. Um, so that's for people who have autism and ADHD as a dual diagnosis, and that's
great?
really preventing suicide in that community because of the long wait times. So really, try and stay around homelessness, addiction, and mental health. They're my three things. I was
Which
working with
area do you live in?
Sorry, Red Hill.
Surrey, Red Hill. Okay. Um,
I was
find
working
out if
with
there.
I
Yeah.
was working with a organization called Way Through. I started off on their lived experience. I started off as a client, joined their life lived experience council, and then ended up in employment and didn't quite like what I saw, so I backed away
Oh,
from
great,
that.
cool. So you've got fantastic experience of what else could happen. Okay.
So yeah,
All right.
there's a lot. I've done a lot. I've got ADHD, so I try and fill
Good.
my time up with
Welcome. Welcome.
various different things, and yeah.
Welcome.
So yeah, I
Okay.
will catch you tomorrow then.
Yeah.
At
So
10.
you've got a lot of time on your hands at the moment.
At the moment, yeah.
Okay, great. So we got a lot of work to do,
Yeah.
and no money. So one of the things of Ubuntu is nobody's fucking coming. We got to sort our own shit out,
Yes.
and we're doing pretty well. So, oh, this is great. All right, send me. Yeah, I'm going to add you to our Speak App platform. We've got our own private. Um, so there's this, which is so we do three things: we train people, empower, and then treatment. Yeah.
Right.
So this part is for training. Yeah. The next part, so send me your email. I'll put you on into our community, and that's where we empower individuals and organizations. So let's get you on there, and so there'll be some like-minded people, and we can take it from there.
Perfect.
How are you checking out, Marcus? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I'm really energetic about it. I'm pleased to come across someone who's got a similar sort of mind, and also uh, it seems you're very embedded also, and have a broad understanding. So it's good to bring these connections together. I'm going to go off this evening and chill out. I'm going to switch off because I kind of went down a bit of a rabbit hole with some of the training yesterday. So I started some of the course, and um, so I need to not do that tonight and burn myself out so that I can be ready for tomorrow.
Okay,
So
well,
that's
good
how
luck
I'm
with
checking
that. I'm just fucking.
out.
I've tried this work-life balance thing. Fuck, it doesn't work for me.
No, and that's why you've got to do something you really enjoy.
Exactly. We call it kokorozashi. What's your soul's purpose? What's your kokorozashi? Why are you here? All right, mate. I check out with a lot of joy. Thank you so much for taking the time and working this out and playing with me on this school app. It's quite sexy.
It's nice. It's nice. I do have a question. When you're able to stop recording.
Let's stop recording. Cool.